what's happening?
All right, so we were just coming down the road from the claim, the Scraggs claim, and when we were driving up here, I noticed there was a wash. And I had promised myself that if we crossed the wash up here, we were going to collect some material from it and run it through garage prospecting. I have, what is it, a 1/4 inch and a 1/8 inch classifier. And we're just going to shovel some dirt in there until we get enough to run a test on it when we get home. I do have some water and I have a pan. I guess we could run a rough test up here, but...
So we're kind of in the road, so we may...
Yeah, but they'll be able to get by. There's plenty of room for them. So, what we want to look for is an inside bend. And there's one right there.
There's one on the other side of the road, too.
So there's one here. And we want to, at least, so this cobble, so the other thing that I like, the reason I like this area is because we're right around Hopewell, and there are some placer claims around Hopewell, New Mexico. As a matter of fact, we're going to be joining a club that that has a claim up here that we can work eventually if we have to. So I think I like... So there's an inside bend right here. I'm trying to walk and look at the same time.
Did you bring a shovel? Oh, yeah. But you didn't wear your gloves.
I didn't, but I've got tough hands. All right. So we don't have to dig too deep, and we just have to get enough. Like, we're still finding barite down here. And there's either going to be some in here or not. Make sure there's no big nuggets that I'm missing. Now, when I get home, I'll take this material and I'll classify it down even further. But you don't need much. You need a bucket that you can get at Lowe's, Home Depot, any of the big box stores, and then a couple of classifiers. All we're going to do, and we're on BLM land here, so this is not an issue for the BLM. And you can't make a claim on a waterway. You can make a claim, in some states you can. That's interesting. So we're still seeing some of the material that we saw up there at the claim, the rocky material, rusty. So that rust indicates there's iron. And when you find one metallic, you may be able to find other metallics. And gold and silver are metallics. And there has been mining up in this area. That's plenty right there. So we just need it for one of our garage samples. We're not trying to kill the world. I guess we could try and pan it out. You want to do a little panning just to see?
No.
No? All right.
Spend too much time today.
Okay.
We wanted to get on the road by 3. It's
Yeah.
already 2.
No, it's only 1.
Oh, it's only 1.
We're good.
Okay.
But we do need to stop for some lunch someplace.
Yeah.
Can I give you the shovel to carry?
Yeah. Is
All
that
right.
it?
Yeah, we're good. All right, brothers and sisters, here we go with the, as you saw on the intro video, the material that we collected on a dry wash, out of a dry wash below the San Andres Mountains when Shelley and I were up there for a rock hounding event that was sponsored by the Sierra County Rock and Gem Society. And we crossed over this wash as we were driving up, and so we thought we'd stop and sample it when we were driving back down. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into a bucket, because I think we're going to run it. So it's a -8 right now. I want to downsize it to -10 and then to -20, and I'm going to run the -20 through the dry magnetic separator, because it does have some magnetics in it, as you saw the last time I made a YouTube short on it. So that's a pretty good chunk of magnetics for a dry Arroyo. So I am going to run it through the magnetic separator, and then we'll continue the process running the -10 material through the sluice, the -20 through the spiral bowl, the -40 through the blue bowl, and the -60 through the Miller table. See what we get out of all of this. Of course, at the end, if we get any gold, we'll put it under the microscope. All right? All right, here we go with 10 mesh, and this is going to require a little bit more patience than I normally have, because this is way more material than I usually get in a pay dirt sample that I've bought online. So I'll shut up and we'll work it through 10 mesh right now. Okay, we've got the +10 material. I will check through it. I don't think there's anything there, because it would stand out like a sore thumb. But I'm saving that in a container, so when I get my Mighty Mill, I'm going to run all of this +10 material through the Mighty Mill, powder it up, and then run it through the probably the blue bowl. Depending, because it turns pretty powder. It's almost like talcum powder. So this is -10. We're going to run it through the 20 mesh so that we can get the material necessary for the dry magnetic separator. Okay? -10 and 20 mesh. All right, here's where we're at. Minus 10 will eventually go into the sluice. I'll update you once I'm done. Minus 20, and let's check again. Minus 20 is full of magnetics, so we're going to run it through the dry magnetic separator. Oh, look at that right there. A little piece of gold right there, I think, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. All right, let's get this dry magnetic separator set up. All right, dry magnetic separator set up, minus 20 material. We're going to run it through there. I'm going to set the voltage at 18, which usually works for me. All right, the magnetics will come out in this container. The non-magnetics in here. Let me turn the light on, maybe you guys can see some of this. Now, I do have the small funnel set in there, but it has a tendency to jam on this material, so if it does, I'll probably take it out and just use the medium one. And, oh, I was going to tell you, I've got my garage door open, so there might be some background noise more than the machine is making. And I'm trying to find ways not to spill it, so I'm using this small container. And I still might even spill it. Let's see. Okay, here's where we're at right now. We've got the minus 20 cleaned up. Now there's still a lot of dark material in there, so I'm going to assume that's hematite rather than magnetite, because as you can see, we got ourselves a pretty good little collection of magnetite out of that run. So now we'll run this through the 40 mesh and then the 60 mesh, and then we can start processing. This is minus 20. We're going to run it through a 40 mesh. All right, so let me get everything set up. That's all the classifying we're going to do. Let me get everything set up so you guys know where we're at, okay? Okay, this is where we're at. This is the +10 material. It's going to go into the container that I'm saving for when I get the Mighty Mill at the end of the month. This is the -10 material. It is going into the cleanup sluice. This is the -20 material, and it's going to go into the Desert Fox spiral. This is the -40 material. That's going to go into the blue bowl, and I think most of the material is either going to go through the blue bowl or the -60 material that's going to go through the miller table. All right? So cleanup sluice, spiral, blue bowl, miller table, Mighty Mill. I did take a sample of the -20 material, and I did take a sample of the magnetite, and I'm going to put those under the microscope so you can see what's going on. I don't know whether I'll include it in this video or add another video so you can see it. All right, let's get to processing this stuff. All right, guys, here we go. We're going to pass the -10 material through the cleanup sluice. I have added probably a little bit too much jet dry, and I have brushed out the bubbles that are in the dream mat. So here we go. We got big chunks of hematite, a little bit of quartz, but I'm not seeing any gold. All right, we're 0 for 1. Let's go to the spiral. Be back in a minute. All right, here we go with the -20 material. And we're going to put that into the Desert Fox, a spoonful at a time. Well, I don't know if you guys can see them, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colors in there. I think what I'm going to do is push back a little further, see if I can get this to go. I want to clean this up because I didn't see any gold in there before, but there are definitely 6 colors in there. So I'm going to turn off the camera right now and finish this up. Let all this material go through, and then I'll come back. We'll take a look at the cup again and see if there's anything else. But we got 6 colors in there. New Mexico arroyos, man. All right, I ran the rest out until there was nothing going up there. I did get some more dark material, but as you can see right here, those 6 colors are still there. I don't see any others in what's below that. Everything else washing away. And the gold is sticking to the pan right there, so I'm going to count that good. I'll take a picture so you guys can see it. And we'll go on to the blue bowl next, and maybe the further down in material we get, the smaller we get in material, the better off we may find some more. So, because who would have thought? Let's see if I can get a picture here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yay, us. All right, let me get the blue bowl set up and we'll come back at it. Okay, guys, here we go with the blue bowl. I'm at 7.0 volts, and that puts me at exactly 1 inch, but I haven't put any of the material in, and there's a lot of this material. My guess is we're going to have to raise the voltage after we put the material in. So let's do that next. So this is the -40 material. And one thing about the blue bowl, especially when it comes to these finer meshes, it doesn't like being overloaded. So we're just going to take it real easy here for the first couple of runs. I will speed this up, but I may stop the camera and let it run for a while because the amount of material here, I think like the spiral, it's going to be a long run, and you may not have noticed it on the spiral, but I did the same thing. Although I did have a battery at one point, I cut the camera off just because it was taking forever to get all that material washed out. But, dude, we found some gold. All right, there's the first run. Let me get that sent over to the edges here. So I'm going to leave the overhead light off for now so that there's no reflection, so you guys can see what's going on. And actually I want to see what's going on because like I said, although it's minus 40 that we've done before, it's just a lot of material, so I don't know how it's going to behave. All right, let's go. I'll be quiet. All right, so I think two things. I don't feel like I lost any gold, but I'm not sure. There's a little pile around here. There's no gold in that. It's just some blonde sand. But I think I put too much material in it to start off with. It felt like it was way overloaded. It never formed that sawtooth thing. So let's try with just a little bit less material this time. Maybe 1 spoon on one side and 1 on the other. And I think what I'm going to do, guys, is I am going to turn the camera off because, again, this is a lot of material. And as we get close to the end, I'll turn the camera back on, speed it up a little bit, and then we'll see if there's any gold at the end of all this. I'll keep it on while I start this up again. So I'm running at 7.0 volts. Let's see if this behaves a little bit better with a little bit less material. All right, I'm going to turn the camera off. Well, you take a look. Yeah, that seems to be behaving a little bit better. So I'm going to turn the camera off, and then I will catch up with you guys towards the end of this Blue Bull run, see if we've got anything. All right, we're down to the last bit of material here. And I haven't seen anything. Every time I thought I'd see something, it would make a big bounce and disappear. I've kept the level about 1.25 inches, so I know I'm not running that fast. Right now I'm at 6.7 volts, which is not a lot. The overburden is climbing the volcano like it should, but, you know, might be taking some light little flakes with it. But if that's true, then we should have better luck with the Miller table. So I'm going to speed this up, let it run out to the end, okay? So there's a little tiny valley at the bottom of the volcano where all the heavies collect. I've never seen gold make it that far. Usually what happens to the gold is as the saw blades or the sawtooths are being made, the gold gets kind of left behind in the sawtooths and it ends up out here. I've never seen it get into the volcano or the valley. At the volcano, there's some material in there, but it looks mostly black. I don't see anything. There might be one little speck right there. One little speck right there. Okay, I'm going to have to pan this out and see if there's anything there because there's a lot more heavies than there are anything else, including some blonde heavies. I don't know what those are. I'm going to guess some quartz, but I don't see any gold flakes in there at all. All right, I'll turn it off for now and pan this out. If I find any gold, I'll take a picture and post it. Otherwise, we'll move on to the Miller table and hope that minus 60 material pays off. All right? All right, guys, here we go with the Miller table. This is a lot of material, so it's going to take a long time. So I'm probably going to not only speed it up, but I'll cut half of it out, or not half, part of it out, so that we're not watching it for the whole time. The table is set at 0 degrees this way. I've got a nice V flow down here. I do have the table set to 2 degrees, which is about half of what I usually set it at, but I increased the velocity of the water using the regulated DC power supply and that new setup that I had in that one short that I made. So I'm running at 10.4 volts and the motor is drawing 1.26 amps, so it's way low. But let's see how we do. I'll adjust it as I see what's happening to the material. Okay, I will be quiet. All right, so I'm near finishing up with this material, but before I forgot, I wanted to say a couple of things. So number one, I did take the tailings from the blue bowl and run them through the table. I did get one small flake of gold from that, but the rest was it was clean. Secondly, I'm running the regulated DC power supply at 12 volts, which is the equivalent of full blast for my new pump, and I'm controlling it, but it's only drawing 1.5 amps, so it's definitely not overworked. Thirdly, I set the Miller table to 0 degrees horizontally and 3 degrees angle of attack, which is a lot lower than what I've done in the past. Well, not a lot. Last time it was 4. When I started, it was 7 degrees. 7 degrees is way too much. 4 is just about right. But with this material, what I've been doing is rather than control it with the angle of attack, I've been controlling it with a power supply, and that makes things much easier. So let me just finish up the last. I think I've had one flake that I snuffed up from this minus 60 material. Other than that, what I see is a lot of pyrite, and the reason that you could tell it's pyrite and not gold, although it'll trick you at first, as always, fool's gold, it pretty much flops down along with the other material. The other thing is, if it does tend to stop, you can look at it from 2 different angles, and you can see one angle it'll be shiny, and the other angle you won't, it'll just be black. So you know it's pyrite. Gold doesn't do that. Gold stays shiny, whatever angle you're looking at it. So let me finish up here. I'll be quiet for a couple of minutes here. Okay, that looks like it. I will get what little gold I got into the bottle, and all the rest is in the snuffer. We'll cook it up, and then I don't know if there's enough to weigh, but we'll see. And then we'll put it under the microscope for you, okay? All right, let's cook things up here. Okay, let's put it on the scale, see if we actually can weigh this stuff, and then we'll go under the microscope. All right, there we go. Under the scale, let's tear it out first. And I'll be surprised if there's enough to weigh in here. Let's see. 0.065 of a gram. I want to remind you where this material came from. It came from a quarter bucket worth of material from a dry wash, an arroyo, below the San Andreas Mountains, east of Hatch, New Mexico. So 7 thousandths or 70 thousandths of a gram. Not bad. All right, let's take a look at it under the microscope. All right, guys, let's take a look at this stuff under the microscope. Bing. So I've got this in 3 samples under the microscope. The first is the source material. Now remember, this is about the size of a grain of sand, but what you can see in the source material is quartz, feldspar, granite, everything that you'd expect to find coming down in the form of mass wasting from the mountains. And I won't take a lot of time with this, but there is a lot of quartz in the material. But there was one piece, now this is minus 20, but as I was going through the minus 10, I did find, let me see if I can find it again on here, this beautiful, so this is a minus 10 piece, but it's a beautiful, almost crystal clear piece of quartz with striations and some inclusions, but I thought it was pretty good looking. Second thing I wanted to show you was, and let's see, it's always hard to do without spilling these little crucibles, is the magnetite. And the magnetite, as you will see, is usually minus 20, and sometimes as little as minus 30. Excuse me. Dark and kind of shiny, but you'll see some other things, some other rocks in there like that one, that white one right there, that will have magnetite in it. And so when you run it through the dry separator, it brings it along with it. But you can see it's various sizes from large, again, this is minus 20 material, so it's relative. But you'll see not only the raw magnetite, but then the stones that have some magnetite in them, and they are attracted to the magnet just because of that. So that's your nemesis there. So here's a couple, for example. They ended up in the magnetite simply because they had enough magnetics in them to be attracted to it. All right? So there isn't much of it. But let's see if we can. Oh, that's surprising. I thought it was going to be more flaky. So that piece that you see in the lower right-hand corner, that is some of either the mica or the pyrite that kept showing up on the table. I captured one of them just so that in the future I could have something to differentiate from. And you can see it kind of flops down the table. it doesn't stay like the gold does. Now the majority of this material came out of the blue spiral. Some of the smaller pieces came out of the Miller table. Oh, but it's very rounded. Wow. I'm surprised to see that, but I guess I shouldn't be, considering that it came from an Arroyo. So think of it this way. Besides me, you guys are the first time to see, you're seeing this gold. So again, what you'll notice is although there's a flaky piece behind that, let's see if we can focus on that. There's a flaky piece. This is pretty rounded, but you know, each one of them has a little bit of character. Wow, that's pretty fancy. A lot of texture. Out of an Arroyo from New Mexico. I want to go see if we can get that pyrite and take a close. There it is. Sorry about the fire alarm there. So again, as usual, it isn't perfectly clean, but we did get some granite. We did get some magnetite. I'm sorry, not granite, but quartz. That's what the white stuff is. That's quartz, which makes sense because quartz and gold are attracted to each other, or I guess quartz attracts gold as it's coming up from the center of the earth. Very rounded. It looks like it's been, you know, heated, process, and let it melt into a little, let's go back down this way, see what else we got. More quartz. More pyrite there. No, that's just quartz. So yeah, what was flopping down the Miller table, and I caught one on purpose because I wanted to see what it looked like and make sure I wasn't losing gold. Because when I saw it flopping down the Miller table, I thought to myself, I am losing a bunch of gold here, and that's not gold. It's pyrite, and just a small piece of pyrite, but you can see the difference under the microscope pretty clearly. Okay, I think that's it for today, guys. We didn't get a lot of gold, 75 thousandths of a gram, but who knew there was gold? So my daddy was telling the truth. All right? Okay, guys, that's it for today. Next week we will be processing a package of somebody's material. I haven't decided which. Maybe I'll let you guys decide. Put up a community post and see if you guys can vote on it. I think I have 4 different packages that we could consider. Where's that real nice one? That real, look at that baby. Isn't she pretty? Ah. All right, not a lot of gold, but some gold from a quarter bucket of material on a dry wash, an arroyo below the San Andreas Mountains. Thanks for watching, guys.